moving on to our first technology presentation of the day on the topic of enabling the future of BFSI conversation, which will be presented by Mr. Ravi Sundararajan, Chief Operating Officer, Gupshup. A very warm welcome to you, sir. I would like to hand over the session to you. Over to you, sir.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome. I hope you're having a great conference. The topic we plan to cover today is enabling the future of BFSI conversations. And why Gupshup, right? So obviously, I will talk briefly about the future of BFSI conversations and some of the role that we can help play with this. Our main thesis is that the world is getting the consumer trends are more towards personalization and also timely quick turnaround time and interactivity. And the reason this has been happening is there have been a few factors that have been driving this, and this trend, it's not going to go away, which is why we kind of say, how do you do one-on-one with everyone en masse, right? So how do you scale up, making everybody feel personal, every one of your customers, but doesn't mean that you have a small customer base. You can have millions of customers, but you want to make everyone feel personal by having targeted, contextual, timely conversations, personalized conversations with your customers, and hence the tagline one-on-one with everyone. So what has changed and why is this becoming a big trend? Not really, this kind of was a trend in 2018, 2019, we saw in emerging markets like Latin America and also in China and stuff like that. But it's becoming really huge even in countries like India, right? So what has driven is there are three big things, right? Data is becoming very cheap. There's obviously wider 4G rollout adoption. Platforms such as Jio have made it much more cheaper. Then there's also external events. There was demonetization. There was a big drive towards digital India. Obviously, the pandemic has caused people to operate remotely. There have been a lot of innovations, right? Mobile wallets, UPI, QR codes. So that's led to billions of transactions per day. That the growth that you've seen in 2020 and 2021 in markets such as India has been huge, tremendous, right? 100% growth year over year we ourselves have seen. And businesses also have started spending a lot. There's this KPMG says about 15 billion per week was spent last year on tech as they try to create remote working environments. The Indian SaaS industry itself could be worth $1 trillion. There have been unicorns being created every week. We ourselves became a unicorn over a year ago, and that's going to create a lot of new jobs, 500,000 jobs according to McKinsey and SaaS Boomi, which is a community of Indian industry leaders. So what's happening is even things like UPI, right, was not even available. People now, you can use mobile to make payments, to shop. Before it was only for support, right? You get transactions, whether it's flights delayed, when banking transaction has happened. And so it all would just be post-purchase journeys. Now we have full funnel journeys where people are going across and it's pre-purchase, purchase, post-purchase, all the way through. So using a mobile, even UPI, people would even have bank accounts, right? You have UPI, you can go, merchants will give you cash, and then you can actually make payments in UPI, the billions of transactions, 7-8 billion transactions per month happening on UPI. It's been growing by a couple of billion every month, and mobile wallets and a whole bunch of other innovations have happened. And so in spite of all these changes, the banking customer experiences are still broken. Why? Because websites are still clunky. The phone stuff, you can't download so many apps. Sometimes if you look at the unbanked population in tier 2, tier 3 cities, they still have these phones that you can't put an app, your banking app or any other app they have in addition to WhatsApp. There's not enough memory. There's also getting these custom apps is not easy. There was an era where you had the Ubers and the WeChats, but how many apps are you going to download? You can't download 10 banking apps, 6 fintech apps, 4 travel apps, or whatever, right? So there's an app fatigue. And so what you need to do is go where the consumers are. And and doing this personalization en masse is very tough. And that's why technology companies like Gupshup can help you do that. And once you do that, then you will reap huge benefits. So how do you do that, right? Where are your customers today? And if you look at it, in India, they're spending time on WhatsApp, on Instagram, or interacting over some of the popular messaging apps, or even doing messaging. Because we all agree that the most traction for digital interactions happen on the mobile in India and most of the emerging markets, right? For WhatsApp alone, even though they have a couple of billion people using it, over 175 million people, now it actually is close to 200 million people are using messaging a business account on WhatsApp, right? Over 90% of the users on Instagram follow a business, right? And over 85% of the consumers are using business apps to build relationships with the business. So the imperative for any BFSI or a digital banking or a fintech company is to go where your consumers are, and your consumers are in these popular messaging apps, right? So what are these companies doing? The BFSI companies are using these messaging apps now to engage their customers, right? Even traditional companies like Tata Capital used, Swift Insta personal loans on WhatsApp. There are a lot of digital lenders. They disperse loans. There are some of our customers who just go after the up and coming young earning audience to give out scooter loans. There are people who will give consumer loans, merchant loans, a whole bunch of other things. So they're using this to kind of disrupt. We can call it this is the metaverse of banking, right? They can disrupt the banking industry, traditional banking, where you don't have to go and have a bank account and go to a bank to get a loan, or go through the laborious application process. It's a few clicks. You can get a loan to buy a scooter. You can, in fact, when you're buying something, automatically the contextual message will come say, hey, do you want any financing, on in-time financing? You can do collection, payment reminders come. You can pay your bills, right? For example, if your bill is due, then you can have you'll get a pay now button, which will automatically put the amount to be paid for your account, for your insurance account. Because before, even if you get a reminder on SMS, you have to go onto your web, login, put in the account number, put in your insurance number, put in the amount and pay. That's kind of a 2-hour process or a 1-hour process, and now it's just in a few seconds you do that. And a lot of people are offering loans and access to capital, and all the stuff that banks do is available now because of the use of these messaging apps. And as I told you before, it's just not post-purchase journey. It's just not purchase alerts or banking alerts that you did due to transactional alerts or OTP, but it's about pre-purchase and purchase journey. And over 80% of the customers who are using messaging apps make general inquiries, ask about a product or service, they make a purchase, schedule an appointment, get product services support, and comment about a product across the whole journey. And what this helps do is, in the pre-purchase, that most of these journeys are to reduce friction, right? In this case, we have an example of Creditwise Capital where they actually do the credit check using WhatsApp. So they say, hey, please give us, they'll get the credit scores, they look at do a credit check, and they'll automatically disburse a loan, right? That's an example of a pre-purchase journey where it helps you acquire new customers, remove potential dollars, and cross-sell and upsell and assist in various pricing queries. So it's a product information, sales assistant, onboarding process, registration process is some of the pre-purchase journey. What happens in a purchase journey, right? So another example of a pre-purchase journey, this is again Creditwise Capital, is we talked about the whole loan application process itself, right? So now that you've done the credit check, you can go and say, okay, now you can receive an OTP, select the vehicle type that you want to buy. And there you can say, okay, this is the vehicle I want to buy, submit all the relevant details, and your loan application is completed. Within a few clicks, your credit worthiness and your capability and check has been done. And then you can get your loan sitting and operating all on WhatsApp. They designed most of their customer onboarding pre-purchase flows on WhatsApp, and they're having huge success, which kind of reduce the way they look at their headcount and the way they look at how they engage customers. And the engagement has been much more than a lot of the traditional channels. The other type of journeys, example journeys is purchase journeys, is one example I can think of is HDFC Life. So we actually work with payment providers to create in-app A2P notifications, which a lot of other people don't do on WhatsApp. So we were one of the first to do that by partnering with the local vendors. And even WhatsApp itself doesn't have A2P purchase capability on WhatsApp, but we enable in the message you can do that. So what HDFC Life did is they were able to send payment reminders, collection reminders, and get people to pay back or collect their payments online using the one-click bill pay button, easy one-click payment buttons that actually improved their collection times and also their collection costs by 10x. This is a huge ROI. Additionally, a lot of banks like Kotak Bank have been using us over 4 years. They were the first bank to do WhatsApp banking in the world. They went live in March of 2018. And Kotak and IndusInd worked with us, and now they do kind of the typical for the high net worth individuals. You can know what your bank balance is, credit card, debit card. You can also know the nearest ATM. You can go, do profile updates. You can apply for different services and get a whole bunch of things done. And then also a lot of cart abandonment alerts and a whole bunch of other things can be done using these purchase journeys, right? So that's kind of what the spectrum is. That's pretty huge in terms of being able to do that even for purchase. Before it was all about post-purchase, and now we're doing post-purchase. The other examples of one-click bill pay in chat payments on messaging apps is that we also have, the reason we're able to do this is because we have a conversational AI engine, and then you also have your brand there. It's a brand recall. The reminders are automatic, and it's instant confirmation that the payment has been done. That's how HDFC Life was able to improve some of these things using some of these purchase journeys like one-click bill pay that we enable on messaging apps and in chat. Now transitioning to post-purchase flows, right? So these are typically transactional alert, personalized alerts for companies like Citibank. And then you have automated support where you can report a fraudulent transaction, you can manage your account, talk about other issues, and also do a lot of self-service, improve your customer service with bot-to-agent handover. So this is kind of huge for customers, keep customers coming back for more with an always-on customer service. So these are some of the typical post-purchase journey flows, in addition to order tracking and a few other things that people do. So I'll go over some of the case studies. We were one of the first company to enable Kotak to launch WhatsApp banking, because we were the first WhatsApp partner when WhatsApp was trying to see whether we have to do a partnership model in early 2018. They picked us because they had a single API. The single API connecting with that, they could send multiple channels. And so Kotak was already using us for SMS and RCS and a bunch of other things. And they said, okay, why don't we try WhatsApp, right? And so they tried us for WhatsApp, and then with the same API, they didn't have to do any change. So we were able to get them live in 2 weeks. We started working with WhatsApp as a partner in January of 2018. Kotak was able to go up and running in February, and they announced it and made it live in March 2018. And this was a huge win that we helped Kotak do that. And they saw not only increase in read rates, but a lot of engagement and retention and faster user onboarding. The other thing is about automating some of these. We went over the CreditWise example. They went from 2 days to get the whole loan process going. In 3 minutes, your credit will be checked, and you can apply for a loan and get a loan to go buy a scooter. So this is huge. And the reason we were able to do that is because of our single API that they use for SMS, and they also use RCS for some promotional lead acquisition, and they use WhatsApp to do these things. So they use omni-channel using a single API, where they're using SMS, RCS, and WhatsApp to create interactive two-way messaging flows, and then fetching credit scores and do, for soft loan services with user preference management on what they want to do in which channel. And all that we're able to do because of the CPaaS platform that we have, in addition to the bot automation capabilities, conversational automation capabilities, and conversational engagement solutions for BFSI and fintech, right? So the key thing is that what I would take away from all this is that there's a huge changes happening in banking and financial services and fintech. Why this is happening now? Before, traditional banking, think about this example of CreditWise itself. If you have to get a scooter loan and you're just started your first job, you're starting out in your career, it's not that easy. You have to go establish, work with the bank, go a few times, spend a few hours, convince them, get a loan, and go about and do it. This is just one example. Now, merchants can get loans from companies like BharatPay and PhonePay. Payments can happen online. There's Cred that's also kind of do payment reminders. There are a whole bunch of other companies. So of the 100 unicorns, about 100 unicorns in India, about a third of them are in fintech space. So what this is happening now because people are very comfortable working remote. They're able to get a lot of things done in terms of identification, security capabilities, that you know who they are, what their background is, their credit scores, and KYC can be done. eKYC is a big flow that we can do it online. And once you get all that done, then you can access to capital that what banks provided for consumers, for individuals and consumers, for small businesses, for merchants, even for other larger business transactions. Everything becomes much more easier. And so this is disrupting the complete fintech landscape, BFSI landscape, and creating a challenge. Anybody with an idea and a good technology can go and challenge some of these traditional banks, and then also access to people who are not only in tier one cities with great incomes and bank accounts, the unbanked population in tier two, tier three cities, the real Bharat, right? They're able to access a lot of these people, completely disrupt. And that's why I call this could be the metaverse of digital banking moment, because of all these changes that are happening in terms of greater, cheaper access to ubiquitous data so that people can work, interact, and have personalized transactions and personalized recommendations, personalized financial evaluations, and personalized loans, or personalized access to capital based on their needs, make it much more interactive, timely when they need it, and completely change the landscape and make it much more personal and go en masse. Because even the banks, they can only serve so many, because you can serve people near your banking location, or certain type of customers who have certain type of profile and have a huge history, income profile. All that is changing now, where the number of people that you can access and give access to capital and enable them to get into the unbanked people getting into the banking world and doing a lot of participating in the financial economy is going to be huge. And this is completely going to change the way we look at the landscape. And this is going to be huge. The only question is, are you ready to go where your customers are, or on messaging app? Are you ready to meet them where they are, to offer solutions that are personalized, targeted, contextual, interactive, and timely? And are you able to go one-on-one with everyone, with all your customers, and expand your customer base to millions and grow and capitalize on these huge tectonic shifts in technology? So if you are, let's start with Gupshup today. Let's Gupshup. And even if you don't want to use Gupshup and look at it, you can talk to us. We can advise you what to do best. But we urge you to get on this journey and be part of the disruption of the BFSI space and adopt some of the huge trends in fintech. Thank you. Have a great conference.
Thank you, sir. It was one great presentation. Now, as a token of appreciation, I would like to present the appreciation certificate to Mr. Ravi Sundararajan, Chief Operating Officer, Gupshup. Thank you so much, sir.